All right, hey everyone, this is Ash. Welcome back to the King's Speech. So we're going to dive straight into it here with Akane-Banashi Story 9, After the Delight, with story by Yuki Suenaga and art by Takamasa Moe, with translation by Stephen Paul and lettering by Sneer Aaron, and Rakugo supervision with KK Hayashiya. And we pick up where we left off last time as we have the Makura is over now, the story begins. I'm going to put on a great show for this audience today. Here we go. Jeff, hello, old fellow. I heard from someone nearby that you serve free sake here. And he's like, sake for free? Well, I've got some relatives who send me sake from where they live. But the custom there is to drink only in groups of 3. Sake for 3. It's like, how did you confuse 3 with free? You have Kyoji going, even though she's telling the same story, it sounds different now. And you have praising children. Hachigoro visits an elderly man hoping to mooch some free sake. He's like, come on, don't be cheap, give me a drink. He's like, how's that asking for a favor? It's like, if you want to earn a free cup of sake from someone, at least try paying them a compliment first. It's like, oh, I see. It's like the old man teaches him how to compliment others. It's like, when an adult says how old they are, fudge the number a little until it feels right. And if it's a child, you say, but Hachigoro is not a very good listener. So I'll just copy what he says and that'll work. He then attempts to compliment grown-ups and children in all the wrong ways in this humorous story of misunderstandings. It is a Zenza-Banashi, a brief and light story generally performed by the Zenza rank. It's like, alright, let me try. Oh, you said you're 45 years old? I'm amazed. You feel ripe to me like about 100. It's like I said, until it feels right. For a man of 45, that's about 42 or so. And Kyoji goes, her slow and careful tempo seems just right for this audience. Changing your style to suit your listeners is something a Rakugoka must know how to do. It's like she's learned from her previous experience. Very well done. I think I can rest assured that she'll do a good job today. Jeff, see what I did? If you say a 45-year-old man looks 42, you're saying he looks 3 years younger. It's like, oh, I get it now. It's like, but the problem is not every man I meet on the streets is exactly 45 years old, so it's like, that's my point. You have to adapt. For instance, if you're talking to a man of 50, tell him he looks 45 or 46. It's like, oh, I get it now. And what if he's 60? Say he's 55 or 56. And if he's 70, say he's 65 or 66. And if he's 80, say 75 or 76. And you see Ashley's going up. You see the audience is kind of ramping up the laughter. It's like, a 90? What do I say if he's 90? Oh, buzz off, why don't you? Oh, I get it now. So if I meet a 90-year-old, I should say, buzz off, why don't you? And you see the audience just roaring with laughter. And Kyoji's apparently surprised by this. So yeah, just follow the right order and you'll be fine. Yeah, but I don't know what that is. That's why I'm asking you, old man. It's like the tempo of her storytelling. It's like, oh, I know. There's a fella in the row house by the name of Taki who just had a baby. Could you teach me the way to compliment a child? It's like, I'll see. Well, I'll play the role of Taki then. Do you really think this baby is only... And Kyoji goes, the tempo of her storytelling, it's picking up? Like a car shifting gears and adding acceleration bit by bit. She started low, slow, and languid, but she's gradually gotten faster. It's been so natural, the audience doesn't even realize the tempo has risen. In fact, they're all caught in its sway. Did you do this to get the audience steadily accustomed to the pace you want to perform at in the first place? And you see Akane going, it's going great. Now I can do it my way. I think it's really important to meet the audience where they're comfortable, but you make your... And you thinks back to Umi. It's like, you make your own mayonnaise here? Wow, you're so dedicated. It's like, of course I am. Delighting the customers is the entire point. As long as I do that, it's all about presenting food I can be proud of. It's like, isn't that right, Miku-chan? And he's like, this is remarkable. Before, she performed like a fireballing pitcher who couldn't hit the strike zone. Very impressive, but not much fun for anyone. This time, I figured she would make adjustments to get her Rakugo into that strike zone, that people can enjoy. Instead, she kept her speed and chose to widen the strike zone instead. And you have Kibataraki, huh? Well, this is him flashing back to Shiguma telling him, well, I'm sure Akane will do fine. It's like, if you don't mind my saying, she seemed to be struggling with it. And he goes, the thing about Akane is, she's good at keeping others in mind, and she's willing to learn. She might be panicking a little due to the influence of other pupils these days, but I'm not worried. You have Kyoji going, you were right, master. Her eyes are trained right on the audience. And she's like, oh, I'm so glad. It's not like the last time. My Rakugo has the audience in stitches today. Feels really, really good, especially with this story. So I have Praising Children. It's a story about a man who fails because he thinks he knows what he's doing, but he doesn't listen. I've been making the same mistakes lately, so it feels particularly relevant to me. In fact, this reminds me of something Master told me years ago. You have Shiguma going, listen closely, Akane. Rakugo is an art form that was developed by the townsfolk of the time. Because of that, the characters in the stories are all carpenters, fishmongers, landlords, and the like. They're normal folks just like us. So eventually you learn to understand how the people in those stories felt about things. It's like, you think so? But they're from so long ago. It's like, you'll understand. While our lives and ways of thinking may change, there's a beating heart of humanity that stays true in any era of history. So go out there and experience things, Akane. Live life, struggle, get hurt. These things will one day help you grow, I promise you that. So at the time, I didn't understand what he meant, but now I do. Those experiences brought me to this moment. Yeah, none of it was wasted, I'm sure. Every bit of it can be applied to Rakugo. It's incredible. Rakugo is so much fun. You see Ashi's going there. She had a raw from the crowd. She pulls out the pin from her hair. He's like, I hardly recognized you up there. You really threw me for a loop. Keep her moving at this pace and you'll have nothing to worry about. And she bows with a, thank you, sir. It's like, what are you thanking me for? It's like, what for? For everything. I realize now that I was stuck in some very narrow views. But thanks to you, I think I'm learning to love Rakugo even a little bit more than before. It's like, I see. Well, I'm not sure what any of that means, but if I've helped you, I'm glad. You've shown me your answer loud and clear. Now it's my turn to show off. I'll demonstrate the power of my seniority to you. Alright. Good chapter, except I think I have just one minor quibble. This kind of ties into the last or the one before last video where I mentioned I feel like I wanted Akane to have like a little bit more of a training montage, like seeing her growth and development, because yeah, I know like the series is kind of telling you like, you know, she's a Rakugo, not genius, but you know, she's got a lot of skill, etc., like all that, and it's telling you like, you know, she's very diligent, etc. And I guess that kind of explains like how quickly she progressed so fast and kind of overcame her weakness. And I feel like it felt just a little bit too sudden, like how quickly she suddenly like improved and like overcame that the first weakness she had. And I get it, I feel like the story's going for like the tack of like, you know, well, she's gonna see like how much more skilled than her like the senior performers are, and like how much further she still has to go. Like, yeah, like even though she's made improvements, like she still has a lot of other like skills and abilities and things to master. But I feel like, again, like you could have had either like a longer training arc or had her have like a few stumbles, I guess, like in this performance to kind of show like, you know, while she's learned her lesson, while she's learned how and why to improve, like, you know, it's still a process that you have to go through. Like, you just don't instantly improve the next day at the next performance. Maybe this will turn out to be like, oh, you know, it was just a one-off kind of thing. And like we'll see like the stumbles in a couple of the other performances and things coming up. Yeah, just kind of like my only minor quibble with that. But I am, yeah, because again, I'm also mixed on. It's like with the parts where it's like, you know, Rakugo is so fun and like stuff. Like, again, it feels like there should have either been like a longer training montage or a moment where you spend more time with her where she is kind of like down on her Rakugo, or like on her skill, and she has kind of like a crisis moment, like a moment of where she loses her confidence in like her storytelling abilities and things. I think there should have been a little bit more build up to the whole like Rakugo was so much fun lead. But apart from that, it's still a good series. Like, minor quibbles aside, I'll have to see how the next couple of chapters go before I kind of settle on my feelings regarding this one. But I still do really enjoy it. It is still really a fun series, and I really did love like Shiguma's little speech to her about, there's a beating heart of humanity that stays true in every era of history, and that, even though these stories are for so long ago, you can still find ways to get people to relate to them. So really enjoy that. So thank you all for joining me with these videos. As always, if you like my content, please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Like I said, expect a couple of more Akane videos to drop today as well. I think I'm close to doing 5 by now. I'm gonna see if I can probably do a little bit more. I might try to get up to chapter 15 maybe, because I'll put me about halfway to where the release chapters are right now. And I think with that, if I can do a couple of chapters a day the next week, that should hopefully have me caught up by next week before the new chapter drops. I'll look forward to it. Until next time, this is Ash. Talk to you all later.